everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 50. That's right, we have finally hit the big 5-0. Well, not as impressive as, let's say, like episode 100 or something. The fact that we've reached, 50, which is a pretty nice, big, round number, I'm proud of that, And speaking of which, speaking of being proud of the podcast, all that sort of thing, for those of you wondering, my sister has indeed begun the Spooktober drawings. For those of you who took the time to talk about your favorite podcast and, why and that sort of thing from like the little contest, she has begun to draw those. It's just one of those things where she's busy with like exams and trying to apply for like college and that sort of thing. So I've kind of given her space because I know she's busy with all of that. But I did, talk to her at one point, and she did say she was starting them. She kind of showed me, like some rough sketches of a couple of her drawings, and I thought they were pretty interesting. I thought they were really cool. So for those of you wondering, those are on the way, all right? But yeah, that aside, interesting stuff happening this month. I'm excited. We got the little contest thing that happened, and, my sister's making the art. We just reached episode 50, which is exciting. The podcast has been going on for over like a year at this point, and pretty soon, at the end of the month, the channel will be 3 years old. So I'm pretty excited. I think, like I said, big things are happening this month. And so, yeah, just look forward to more content and stuff happening on the channel, I guess. With that being said, I had quite a big week because I watched quite a few things and played some stuff. So with that being said, I would think it's time to transfer over to my week. The first thing I want to talk about, it's new in the sense that I haven't talked about it on the podcast before, but it is old in the sense that it's an anime that ended this, last anime season. And the show that I am talking about is called, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, Arifureta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. I think that's how you say it, I'm not too sure. And this anime, Arifureta, I don't want to be mean, but it is just so bad. All right. I think it is one of like the worst anime I've seen in a while. And of course, that's where the interesting part comes in. That you might be like, okay, if this anime is so bad, why did you start watching it? Or like, why did you keep watching it? The whole reason I watched this show, I've mentioned him a few times before, but I have this friend that he's just very peculiar when it comes to what he likes to watch and play. Like, he is the type of person that, I don't know, man, like, you can be telling him, like, oh, there's all these great indie games on the Switch and PS4, and there's all these games that are really fun, and, he'll look at you and he'll be like, yeah, but an indie game that's like $20, and I don't think it's worth it. And you'll be like, well, what do you mean? And he's, yeah, because indie games are cheap, and they're all kind of trash, and they don't hold my attention, and like, he's the kind of person that only wants to play games that are like looter shooter sort of things, you know what I mean? He only wants stuff that'll last hours and hours and hours, and that he thinks is like worth his money, which, if that's what he believes, fine, but it sucks because he trashes all over other stuff. Same thing with anime. Like, I'll tell him, oh, I think this one was good this season. I'll think this one was good this season. And if it's anything like drama or sad, he won't watch it. If it's anything action-y, it has to get his attention within like the first episode. And he's just very weird. Like, his attention span is like terrible. Like, I don't even know, man. I'm not going to get too into it. The point is, this friend, he said, like, and I quote, he's like, oh man, you have to watch this anime. Then he sent me like a screenshot of it on his phone. And he's like, you gotta go watch this anime. Like, I had basically, turned away from anime, not really enjoying it for like a few seasons or whatever. And this anime like totally changed my mind and I'm loving it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I tried asking him, like, what's it like? Like, what does it remind you of? Because I thought, okay, reading about it, it says it's like an isekai sort of thing. So I was wondering, does it remind you more of like Sword Art Online? Does it remind you more of like Konosuba? Does it remind you more of like Re:Zero? Is it like more like cliche? Is it funny? Is it like more dark? Like, what does it remind you of? And I kept trying to ask him that, and like, he's like, no, it's unlike anything I've ever seen, and it's so great, and like the romance aspect of it is really deep and surprising, and blah, blah, blah. And okay, he made me very interested because he had described it as very, like revolutionary. So I watched the stupid anime, binge watch until like episode 10, because that's like how much episodes are out. And Oh my god, this anime is terrible. It's about this guy that for whatever reason, him and his whole class, they get pulled to another world to help defend it. During like this expedition, there's like a monster attacking them. Everyone's throwing like different projectiles and stuff, trying to kill the monster. And this main character, all he can do is he's a support class. I think all he can do is like make items. And so basically everyone, they kind of think he's kind of useless because, obviously he doesn't have good offensive moves. And somehow he gets involved like right next to the monsters. I think he's trying to save somebody or something. And a stray shot hits him. And even though, as an audience, I guess we're supposed to believe that a classmate that didn't like him did it on purpose to kill him or whatever. It's weird because the main character, there's all this chaos going on, but it's like he has, audience vision, or he knows that, oh no, for sure this guy hit me. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being in the middle of a struggle, explosions everywhere, it's all loud, nobody knows what's happening, but apparently no. He saw when the guy smirked and threw the attack to kill him. So already it's pretty stupid, right? But it gets stupider because, he falls in this hole. I think, let's say it's like a dungeon where, they were on the first floor. He's like really deep, far down, farther than anyone's ever gone. And so he's basically has no way out and he's gonna die. And from here, what he does is, for whatever reason, even though he was like the most meek, weak protagonist ever, he was a shy guy, didn't have any good moves, wasn't good at fighting, was very mild-mannered. When he thinks about the fact that this guy probably purposely killed him, he goes psycho, and he goes like, I need to get revenge on the world, because the world betrayed me. And it's like, well, first of all, you're being really edgy. What do you mean the world? Wasn't it one guy? And even then, you're not really sure if the guy did it. You just think he did. But okay, sure. Let's say, you're fueled by revenge. Why not? That could be a good story, right? But instead, he starts eating and killing animals around him, like different creatures. And every time he does, he gains their attacks. And he becomes all edgy. And pretty soon, he's wearing black. And he has white hair. And he has an eye patch because he loses an eye fighting like a creature. And even though it's never shown how good his skills are at making stuff, he makes himself guns and a sniper rifle, which is ridiculous because this is a world where everybody uses swords and stuff and shields, like that kind of weaponry. But he makes himself guns that shoot energy, and he's like this edgy guy walking around one shot killing monsters. And so it's like the edgiest stupid thing. Then in the dungeon, he finds this lolly vampire. Of course, he saves her because, he has to. And she becomes a dedicated waifu who loves him because he saved her. And they become lovers or whatever. And they, it's them against the world. And he says, I'm going to find a way home and I'm taking you with me. And it just gets stupider from there, where he's just edgy mech edgy boy. And he has this vampire with him who has no personality. And they get out of the dungeon and they're so strong. And he gets other party members because why not? Because it has to be a harem, because it has to. And so he picks up this bunny girl who's totally ditzy, and literally she just wants to have sex with him. That's literally her character. She just wants to have sex with him and make the lolly vampire jealous. And then he also picks up this dragon that the best way to describe her is she's darkness from Konosuba, but they try to play it straight, so it's really stupid, because in Konosuba the whole point is that it is stupid and they lean into it. It's a comedy, but here it's supposed to be serious. And then at one point, he also picks up this little, I forget what kind of a creature she is. I think she's let's say a mermaid, right? He picks up some sort of a little girl mermaid thing, and she starts calling him daddy. And so, oh, get it? He's her daddy, and he has to take care of her. And oh my god, it is the worst, stupidest anime I have ever seen. And when my friend told me about this and I saw how bad it is, I literally wanted to strangle him. And what's worst is that okay, I kind of get maybe if you like it, fine, if you enjoy it, okay. But he said it didn't remind him of anything. He said it was so unique. It literally reminds me of every freaking anime I have watched the last year. It steals the edginess, revenge stuff from Shield Hero. It steals the, absorbing monsters and getting their power stuff. It steals that from, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. The party members, it also steals mostly from Shield Hero. The difference is that while the Shield Hero, his first party member was the raccoon girl, and then he had, the little girl bird creature. Here, he gets the little girl first, and then he gets the animal creature. But you see how like it's like the same thing? And then like I said, the dragon, the you know, the sadistic, the masochistic dragon, it's literally just darkness from Konosuba, but like not as fun. And so I don't know, dude. Like, I watched this and it was terrible. The CGI is terrible. The pacing is terrible. The characters are abysmal. The animation, like they have monsters that they fight that are CGI that look terrible. Like, they look all like shiny, like the textures are all wrong. And it's stupid because it says World's Strongest or whatever, from Commonplace to World's Strongest, but there's literally no struggle. Like, he's literally like the strongest as can be since like episode like 1 or 2. And not even in like a fun way like the slime one, where yes, the slime was always overpowered, but because of that, they made him more of like a mentor and he's raising other people up, you know? Because they knew he was overpowered. And here, no, they try to treat it like totally straight. Like, he's like growing and becoming stronger, but he's not. Like, he's just been OP since like episode 2. And then like my friend's like, oh, the romance is so deep. Yeah, it's so deep that he finds this girl and saves her. And she says that she's gonna be like his waifu forever. And you know, when other girls are around, she gets jealous. Oh man, that romance is sure is deep. So, oh man, I don't know. My friend, I'm gonna stop right there because I don't want to say more mean things. But the point is, if you ever run across a show called Arifureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest, do not watch it. Or watch it so you can see how much of a train wreck it is, but I would not recommend it at all. I think it borrows from like everything else around it, but like in a worst way. And I just think it is like a horrible show that is not entertaining, not fun. It's just abysmal. So yeah, I don't think I've ever given anything such a negative review, but there you go. Moving on, another anime that I watched that ended this last week is an anime that I talked about quite a while ago because it was, you know, one of those 24 episode ones or whatever. And I am, of course, talking about Carole and Tuesday. And for anyone who doesn't remember, Carole and Tuesday is a show about these girls. It takes place in the future. In this future, Mars has been colonized and there's cities up there, you know? I think like they've established cities for like 50 years or whatever. And usually the way it works is that there's people who are born on Mars, you know, like that's all they know, it's their home. And there's also Earth refugees, where it's people who are escaping from Earth. I mean, they don't really explain what's wrong with Earth, but in some shots they show it's kind of like really like ghetto and torn down looking. And there's, like I said, there's Earth refugees who escape to Mars. And basically the show's about, there's this girl named Carole. She is an Earth refugee. She has been living on Mars for like, I don't know, I mean, ever since she was really young. And she loves to play the piano. And she goes and she plays, you know, like at a bridge, like every so often, you know, between her jobs and stuff. And she loves singing and playing piano. Meanwhile, there's this girl named Tuesday, and she's from like this rich family where her mom is actually trying to run for president of Mars. So it's like a very like good household. I mean, like money wise, but her mom seems to like never be home and like ignore her and very controlling of Tuesday's life. And so Tuesday wants to be a musician, and she's really good at singing and playing guitar, like, you know, acoustic guitar. And basically, because she's tired of the way her mom is always controlling her and is kind of abusive of her, she runs away from home. And sure enough, she runs away to the city where Carole lives in, and she sees Carole, you know, playing her piano, and pretty soon they bond over music, they become roommates, you know, all that good stuff, and they try to form like a little music group. And so basically, you know, throughout the 24 episodes, we see them, you know, basically trying to make it big. You know, we see them like hire a manager. We see them trying to record like their first album. We see them enter this competition that is basically like America's Got Talent or like, you know, American Idol or whatever. And, you know, it shows them performing, trying to make it big, get their name out there, that sort of thing. And it was a pretty good show. Like, I did really like the music. I did really like the characters. I think the art is like really good. It's like really crisp and stuff. However, when it comes to the story, I just feel like the story is where it kind of isn't great. Like, it's not terrible, you know, it's not as bad as like the anime I just mentioned. It's nowhere near that terrible, but I just feel like it's kind of bad because it's always, it's like very low stakes, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it's about these girls and how they want to be musicians and, you know, them trying to like make it big, but I feel like there's not really any real struggle. It feels like everything kind of just goes their way, and even when it doesn't go their way, it still gets resolved like fairly easily. And I feel like there's a lot of like plot points going on at the same time too, where not only is there like the main plot point of the two girls trying to be musicians. But ever since like the first episode, like from like the OP, we're told that they're gonna like create this magical moment on Mars called like the 7 magical minutes, like the 7 miracle minutes, and it's gonna like bring everybody together. So we already know that there's like supposed to be something big that they do. And there's also this plot point about Tuesday's mom wanting her to come home, while there's also the plot point about her trying to be president. So every so often it cuts to like the election and, you know, kind of what's happening there. And there's also like this plot point about Carole and how she doesn't know who her parents are. And there's also this plot point about this other singer that's like their rival. Her name is Angela, and we see all the stuff that Angela's going through. And I don't know, I mean, it's just one of those things where like there's a lot of plot points going on. I feel like a lot of them aren't really that worth following, you know, like they're not that satisfying. And at the same time, like I said, I feel like the stakes were just very low. So I don't know. I mean, like the show wasn't bad. I would say it was very nice. You know, it was cool seeing like the music every week. It was nice seeing the relationship between the two girls and the world around them, that sort of thing. But at the same time, you know, I guess I expected more. You know, I expected it to be a little deeper, a little more like exciting and stuff. And it's the kind of anime, it's fine, you know, it's something to watch and it's something to enjoy, you know, it's something very casual, but I guess I just expected more from it, you know? So, do I recommend it? Like I said, I guess I recommend it enough. I guess I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10, perhaps. Maybe an 8 if I really go back and look at like a few episodes and stuff. But yeah, you know, it's fine, but I wouldn't say it's like the best out there. But yeah, if it sounds interesting, any of what I have described, the anime is called Carole Tuesday. So I believe it's an Amazon exclusive, which makes it kind of weird trying to track it down. But you know, if you can get your hands on it, you know, try it out. Maybe you'll like it. So there you go. Alrighty, moving on. The next anime I want to talk about is one that I talked about last week, and that was Kemono Michi Rise Up. For anyone who doesn't remember, like I said, last week was the first episode. Basically, this is the one about the pro wrestler and how he gets transported to another world because the princess wants a strong warrior to defeat all the demon beasts. But because he has like this insane love of animals and like big old beasts and stuff, he gets mad and he German suplexes her, which is like really unexpected. And if anyone remembers, I said that the premise of the show is basically about how he wants to repair the relationship between demon beasts and humans. And so his plan is that he's going to open a pet shop. And if you remember, I said that the first episode, though I did think it was funny and I did think it had potential, I did say it was kind of creepy how he seemed like he was a little too into the animals. You know what I mean? Like it was a little over the top. Luckily, just as I kind of predicted last week, I said, you know, hopefully in the future they tone it down. Hopefully that first episode, it was just really extreme to kind of, you know, I guess kind of like shock value or whatever, to just really make people go like, what? Like this is so weird, you know, kind of draw you in. But yeah, luckily in the second episode, they do tone it down. Even though he's still into animals, he acts a little more normal, which is good. And yeah, the second episode, I really enjoyed it. Not only did they tone it down, which like really helped, but it was just really fun because it was about him and that girl that he saved in the first episode. Basically, she's like his sidekick now. And so it's about them trying to raise money so they can like buy a building for their pet shop. And so it's just really funny seeing him go on all these quests, you know, to make money. Like in one of them, he's supposed to bring down this like fire-breathing dragon or whatever. And it's funny because it shows he's at like the bar or whatever, the Heroes Guild or whatever. And he like gets the mission and he like storms off. And then it cuts to him with like this big old like dragon lizard thing just wrapped around his body and he's petting it and he's all happy with it. And he's like back at the inn and he says like, yeah, I'm keeping this one. And he just like takes the money because he's like, yeah, you guys just said to like get rid of the problem. I did. I'm keeping it. And he just like takes his money, which is like, I don't know. It was just kind of funny the way they did it. And then like likewise, they ask him to like defeat all of these like killer monkeys or whatever. And so he bonds with them by giving them like an apple. And like the way he bonds with them is also like really funny, the way they just stare at him. And pretty soon, you know, he's like grooming them and they're grooming him. That was really funny. And finally, near the end of the second episode, I guess he wants to take like the biggest, most dangerous quest to get money like really soon. And so he's fighting, he has to fight these orcs. And so he starts fighting the Orc King using his wrestling moves. And it's like, that was really entertaining, and seeing like the way he fights the orcs, and the way the girl is like, he doesn't seem as excited about the orcs. And he's like, yeah, they don't really count as like the beasts I'm into or whatever. And she's like confused, wondering why they're different or whatever. So like, that was kind of funny. So I don't know, I just had really good moments of like adventure stuff, you know, like him taming animals, him using wrestling to fight the orcs. That was really fun. There was a lot of comedy where people keep trying to call him the Beast Slayer because he's so good at what he does. But every time they call him that, he gets like really offended, and usually he'll like throw somebody through a wall or suplex them. Like, that was really interesting. And so far I like it, you know? Like, it is pretty funny. I think it has like some pretty good moments. And I do like that it's kind of different because, yeah, it's about someone who doesn't want to kill beasts. He wants to befriend them. And he wants to make a pet shop, which I don't think I've ever seen a single anime that has to do with someone trying to like open a pet store, you know? So like, that's really interesting. So far I'm enjoying it. 2 episodes in, like I said, I am glad that they kind of toned down some of the stuff from episode 1. So far I do continue to recommend it. I think it's a pretty fun, funny show. And once again, for anyone who's interested, it is called Kemono Michi Rise Up. So there you go. All right, moving into a new anime that I watched this week. There are 2. The first one is one that I did not expect at all to like as much as I did, but oh man, I've watched 2 episodes. I kind of don't want to spoil it, but if I kind of don't spoil stuff that happens in the first episode, then people probably won't watch it because it's like that little twist that makes it interesting. So I guess I will dive into it. You know, if you don't, maybe I try not really do spoilers, but I mean, I feel like it's kind of necessary here. But yeah, the first anime I want to talk about, it's called Are You Really the Only One Who Likes Me? And it is this anime that, like I said, it caught me by surprise. We have our main character, his name or nickname or whatever is Joro. And Joro is your typical, you know, innocent, meek, protagonist, you know, of a rom-com. He's oblivious. He has these 2 girls around him that seem like they like him, but he's like shy about it, and you know, all that stuff. He is basically like what you think of when you think of like your average protagonist. And yeah, sure enough, Joro has this friend. I forget what he's called. I think his name is like Sun-chan or something like that. And he is like the baseball team's ace. He's really good at, you know, baseball. All the girls are after him. And Joro, he keeps hanging out with these 2 girls. One is his childhood best friend, and the other one is the student council president. And they both seem to be like really interested in him. They keep talking to him. They spend time with him. And his friend Sun-chan keeps telling him, like, hey, like he's kind of trying to hint that the girls are hitting on him. But Joro keeps being kind of oblivious and kind of being like, what do you mean? And, you know, this and that. And pretty soon, both girls ask him out. One asks him out on like a Saturday, one asks him out on a Sunday, so he goes out with them. The first one, he goes on a date with her, has a really good time, and then when he sits at a bench with her, she says, I have something to confess to you. And he's like, oh, what is it? You know, what is it? What do you want to tell me? And the girl leans in and she's like, well, there's this boy I like, and every time I think about him, you know, like my heart tenses up and I get nervous, blah, blah, blah. And it sounds like she's going to confess to him. And then she's like, I'm in love with your best friend, Sun-chan. And he's like, oh. And she's like, yeah, you know, because he's so good at baseball and he always tries so hard. But then there's this one time that it was incredible because I saw that he was, you know, motivating the whole team even though they lost. But then he went like backstage or whatever. And I saw him from like the West corridor and I saw that he was crying and he was being so like vulnerable and emotional. And I fell in love with him, you know, because I know he's so confident, but he's so like vulnerable too. And she's like, can you help me get with him? And he's like, this is awkward, but yeah, sure. I mean, for you, I guess I'll try my best. That's girl number 1. He goes out with the second girl, has a good time, has a wonderful date with her. You know, same thing. They end up on a bench. She says that she has to confess that she likes somebody. And sure enough, she confesses that she also likes Sun-chan, and she tells basically the same story that the other girl did, with the only exception being that if the other girl was like in the East corridor, she was like in the West corridor or something like that, so she was on the opposite side. And same story, she says that she's in love with him, she loves how he's so confident but vulnerable, and she asks for the main protagonist's help getting together with him. And same thing, you know, he's like, oh, this is awkward, but he's like, sure, I'll help you, why not, you know, if it's for you, I'll do it. Now, up to now, the anime is the most cliche, generic thing ever, right? You know, it's like, oh, you know, I love these girls, but they don't like me, and I guess I'll help them. And oh, I'm such a shy, oblivious protagonist. I can't, you know, get a clue about anything. I don't know how to read the signs, blah, blah, right? It's like the most cliche thing ever, right? Now, when this is the part where it gets good. When the protagonist goes home after that second date and he is upset about how both of these girls are in love with his best friend, his tone of voice changes. He grabs the book that is on his like desk and he throws it in anger, and he reveals that this personality of him being meek and oblivious and trying to basically be like a nice guy, he reveals that it's all an act. And this is where the anime gets so interesting, because he reveals that, yeah, unlike all the protagonists where they don't know how to like read the signs and they're so oblivious and, oh, I'm just such a nice guy, I'll help you, blah, blah. He reveals that no, he is an asshole. And he has been planning this all along to try to get with the girls. And now that both of them want his best friend, he's pissed. But he goes, you know what? I am gonna like actually try to help them or whatever, because there's 2 girls and only 1 guy. And he's like, whichever girl doesn't end up with my friend, I'm gonna snatch that one up as my girlfriend. And I mean, he sounds like a jerk, right? Like, it sounds terrible, but trust me, that's what makes it so interesting. That unlike all these other anime that run the same course and they're like, oh, you know, oh, I guess I'll help you. No, I'm so shy or whatever. Seeing the character just admit that he's an asshole and that he has ulterior motives and that he's trying to play everybody, it's like so refreshing. And it's like so like interesting. And of course, it gets even crazier than that, because as he's trying to figure out how to set these 2 up with his friend, as I said, so he can try to like in the end get with one of them, he ends up in the library. I don't remember why. I think he's just trying to like escape everybody. He's like, screw it, I need a breather. And there's this girl that's there, and it's this girl that he does not like, because it's like this bookish, shy girl with glasses that every time she sees him, she's always like, you know, saying mean things to him. And sure enough, she says, join me on this bench right here. And he's like, oh my God, a bench, really? He's like, God damn it. She's gonna say like she loves Sun-chan. She's gonna ask me to help him out, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, he puts on his facade. He doesn't know what's happening, all that good stuff. And she basically starts like the same speech about how she's in love with this guy. And every time she thinks about him, her heart tenses up. But then she says that she likes him. And he's like, what do you mean? I thought you know, why do you like me? And she's like, yeah, no, I like you. And not only that, but drop the act. I know that you're really an asshole. That's who I'm in love with. And so basically the episode ends where now he has to deal with the 2 girls that he wants to get with, that, you know, whoever like doesn't get with his friend is who he's gonna try to get with. And not only that, but he has this girl with the glasses that stalks him because she is super into him, but she's into the real him who's an asshole. And even though he's like, no, I am not interested in you, this glasses girl is trying to make his life like miserable so that he will get with her. And basically that's what happens in the second episode. We see how even though he's trying to help like the 2 friends, you know, get with the guy friend who's good at baseball or whatever, this girl with the glasses is trying to sabotage his life so that he'll be so miserable that he'll get with her. And I don't know, man, it probably sounds like a mess, but trust me, like as you're watching it, it is just so entertaining. And I don't know, man, like, you gotta check it out. Even if you don't like rom-com anime, I think you might enjoy this one. I mean, I've only seen 2 episodes, but so far, you know, I think you'll enjoy it. The way it turns things on its head and the way it shows that, you know, the main character is like an asshole. He has ulterior motives. He's trying to like trick all these people. And that girl who has a crush on him, you know, the girl with the glasses, she's trying to like turn the tables on him and stuff. It's actually really interesting. So I would recommend it. And once again, it's called Are You Really the Only One Who Likes Me? And I remember I caught it on Crunchyroll. I'm not really sure if it's on anything else, but I know it's at least on Crunchyroll. So if you can catch it, then there you go. I would say check it out. Finally, the last anime that I watched earlier this week, another new one that I had actually mentioned a few weeks ago because I actually did a story on it, but I ended up watching the first 3 episodes of Babylon. And you might be wondering how I managed to watch 3 episodes. For whatever reason, similar to Vinland Saga when it started, for whatever reason, they threw 3 episodes all at once. And then I guess there's going to be a break and then it'll continue like normal. I mean, I'm not really sure why they're doing this. I guess kind of so people can like really get into the show, you know? I don't know. But regardless, watch the first 3 episodes of Babylon and it is really weird, but I am really intrigued by the show. For anyone who remembers, when I covered it, I described it, at least from what I was like the information I have, it seems it gets like this like political thriller thing with maybe like okay, there's definitely a lot of mystery. It's definitely a thriller. Definitely has to do with like crime and like politics and stuff. And it seems like it might even have like a weird like sci-fi like element to it. Like it's kind of hard to describe. But yeah, I'm gonna try to read the synopsis. That way you guys kind of get an idea of what it's about. And then I'll kind of like try to tell some like details from the episodes without spoilers. But it says right here, Zen Seizaki, a public prosecutor at Tokyo District Public Prosecutor's Office, is investigating a case of illegal clinical research related to a drug company and a university. During the investigation, he finds a file that Shin Inaba, an anesthesiologist, kept, which includes blood that is mixed with hair, skin, and a paper written with letter F. And as he investigates, he realizes that there's a hidden plot that is connected with a huge election, as well as a certain person who is in charge of it. So yeah, basically it's like this really weird anime where the main character, he's a public prosecutor. It starts where him and his like partner, I guess this like pharmaceutical company, yeah, I mean, something about what they're doing is illegal. So it shows that they, like break in, not break in, but they storm the office, take everybody's cell phones, confiscate all of their like files, that sort of thing. And as they're investigating, there's this file, like a paper file, that it has blood on it. And when he like kind of looks at it, he's like, wait a minute. And he pulls it apart because it was like folded in half, like stuck together. And yeah, sure enough, it's covered in blood and hair and skin samples and all sorts of stuff. And so as he starts to like trace it, mysterious things start to happen where like people start to die and weird stuff with the election starts to come to light. Like it's hard to explain, like I said, but basically he finds out that this like new party that just got elected as mayor, like they have these like weird, really unorthodox beliefs for like the future that are like really creepy, and they seem to be tied to like the chemical research or whatever. And then there's like this woman that she's like really strange, and even though she's supposed to be just like a normal civilian, as he's interrogating her, she kind of like turns the interrogation on him, starts asking him all sorts of personal stuff, and she asks all sorts of weird questions, like philosophical questions about his beliefs and stuff. And then he leaves to like, I don't know, go do whatever. I think he's getting like a paper that she has to sign of like a statement, of something. And when he comes back, the guard who was like taking care of her, he's like totally dazed, and the woman's gone, like she escaped, which is really weird. So there's like a whole like weird supernatural element around her. And like, I don't know, like it's hard to explain without spoiling it, but I will say that it is really interesting. It's very dark, very mysterious, and the way you see that this public prosecutor, as he investigates stuff, the way he gets like deeper and deeper into this like conspiracy that's going on that involves the university and like the pharmaceutical company and like the election going on, and how they're all tied together and people are dying here and there. And like I said, the new mayor of the city, he has these like weird beliefs that are really unorthodox and kind of creepy. As you see everything come together, it is really interesting, and it is like really dark, So I really enjoyed it. The only thing I do kind of say, and I agree, is kind of annoying. The main character, for being a public prosecutor, he does feel a little naive, which is weird. Like he does feel like a little oblivious to stuff. He feels like a little like, you would think he's a rookie, the way he like treats some things, like I did feel like that was kind of like, I would like to see him a little more engaged with his work, a little more serious, I guess. Like that part is kind of weird. Another thing that's kind of weird is that that woman who I said seems like she's gonna have like a big part of it. I don't know, sometimes like the way she acts and stuff, it does feel really weird compared to like everyone else in the show. Because while everyone else is very serious and like really realistic, she does act a little like off the wall, and like she's like laughing and being giggly, and like, so like that's kind of weird. But I think if you can look past that, I think you might enjoy the show. Like I said, I think it looks really mysterious. It looks really strange. And I'm really interested to see where it goes, Who else is gonna die? What else is like the plot, where is it heading? Because we have like a glimpse of where it's heading, but I'm really interested to see where this mystery goes, because it's just like as each episode progresses, more and more happens. So I'm definitely interested. Unfortunately, I do think it's one of those Amazon exclusives, so I don't know how easy it'll be to track down, but if you can get your hands on Babylon, like I said, if you enjoy mystery thriller things, then I think you'll like this, because it feels like a really well put together show so far. So there you go. moving on to other stuff that I watched a movie this last weekend, and that was the new Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix. And ever since I heard about this movie, ever since I saw the trailer, I've been interested in it because it seems like a very down-to-earth, pretty realistic, psychological thriller sort of thing, where it doesn't even really feel like a comic book movie. It looks like it's literally it could be about anybody, it's just about this guy that loses his mind, and, as he deals with stuff, he becomes this crazy, psychotic killer. And so I've been interested because I think it looks really different from everything else that DC has done. And so I went to go watch it, it was on Saturday with some friends, and I gotta say that I really liked the movie. And once again, Joaquin Phoenix demonstrates that he is one hell of an actor. In the past, he's done a really good job, in a lot of roles. He has really good range. And here, once again, he showed those acting chops. He carries that movie. Kind of trying to think of what I can really say, because most of the movie is exactly what you see in the trailer. I'm not saying the trailer spoils everything, but it is a very straightforward movie. There's this guy, his name is Arthur Fleck. We see that he has laughing fits that he can't control. That's part of his condition he has. He's on a lot of medication and deal with like mental issues, that sort of thing. He lives with his mother. He takes care of her. He works odd jobs as a clown, either whether he's like one of those like people like has a sign and he's like flipping it around, or whether he's like performing in like a children's hospital, that sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, basically, that's where he's at in his life. He's kind of awkward. He's just doing what he can to like get by. He wants to be a comedian. However, he's really bad at being a comedian. And, I guess all you can really say is that as the movie progresses, you see how basically nothing in his life is working out, Like, not only does his job suck, but his dreams, seem impossible. Everyone's always trashing all over him because of how he is. They say he's like a creep and stuff. And as the movie progresses, you just see how everything kind of catches up to him, and how, at some point he kills some people, and we kind of see how he downward spirals from there until he like becomes the Joker. And there's some other stuff in there that, makes the movie really interesting. Like, there's kind of some like, you can say some twists and turns that make it like, oh, I didn't expect that. And it also like kind of like go into his backstory that makes it even more of like a tragic downward spiral. But yeah, besides that, movie's pretty, it's pretty straightforward. It's about this guy and how he becomes more psychotic and more ruthless as the film progresses. And like I said, though, I think it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I think Joaquin Phoenix did a hell of a job as the Joker, and it's a satisfying movie. I liked it. I liked the acting. I thought it was like really tense in some parts. I love how they did that. It was really creepy for sure. Like some of the imagery, some of the stuff like he like goes through is like really like creepy and stuff. Just the character itself, they did a really good job making him like really creepy too. I don't know how many freaking pounds they made Joaquin Phoenix lose for the role, but yeah, there's some parts where he's just like without a shirt and stuff, and whether they're showing his back or they're showing like his front, like he's all ribs, and so he's just like this toothpick walking around and writhing around and laughing and stuff. So, like, it's just really creepy and unsettling. So yeah, round of applause for DC. They made a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I think it was creepy. It was unsettling. It was like the right amount of violence. The acting was really good, and so yeah, I liked it. I had a good time with it. I recommend it. I think that, if you're looking for like a straight up comic book movie, this isn't going to be it, because it's not very like action heavy. But if you're looking for something a little more dark and gritty and like a little more like realistic, then it's perfect, so there you go. Alrighty, finally, the last thing I want to talk about, just really briefly, is that I continued to play Code Vein during the week, and I'm continuing to have fun with that. I think the game is really good. I think, all the options for like the different classes and moves and all that stuff, I think it's like really fun, and something I want to throw out there is that I know that Slim over from the Galactic Happy Hour, he said that he kind of wanted to play the game, but he was a little bit hesitant due to the difficulty, because it is, kind of like a Dark Souls type game. And all I want to say really quick is that even though it is very Dark Souls, and I do think you have to be like very careful with like, enemies' patterns and the fact that only like a few hits can kill you and stuff, while it is hard, I do think it's only as hard as you make it, basically. Because in the game, you can have one of your buddies from your base. They can go with you and they can help you fight. So there's that. And also, if you play online, you can recruit players to help you with like your journey. So while the game can be very hard if you decide to do like everything solo and, you know, depending on what like stats you're using, that sort of thing, I think if you like stock up on plenty of like healing stuff, and if you take your buddy and you recruit someone online to go with you, I do think it makes the game much, much easier. So I think it's one of those things where like if you're worried about the game being hard, there is stuff in place to make it easier. So for someone like Slim, who maybe is like, hey, I want to play the game, but I don't really enjoy games that are like that hard, you know, whatever, I would say, you know, hey, you know, if you like recruit your buddy to go with you, and if you ask people online to help you out with your quest, I think it makes it much more manageable. So, you know, there you go. And likewise, if you're the kind of person who does want the difficulty, then like I said, you know, just do the opposite. Don't ask people to, you know, help you online. Don't take the buddy with you, you know, just do it on your own. And there you go. I think that brings some of the difficulty back. So I've been loving Code Vein. I think it's really fun. I'm excited because I think I heard there's going to be like a patch sometime in October that's going to add like Halloween looking like accessories and stuff. So like that sounds fun. And yeah, you know, I'm going to continue to play it. I've been enjoying it and I recommend it. So there you go. Alrighty, folks, so with that being said, that basically does it for my week. I know a lot of it was just anime, you know, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about anime, both past and present. With that being said, next week, there's probably even more anime coverage coming, because I know, you know, there's going to be like My Hero Academia, Beastars, a few things like that are, you know, going to debut between now and next week. So, you know, look forward to that if you enjoy it. With that being said, though, I think we should transfer over to the news now, because, yeah, I have quite a few news stories to cover, you know, that kind of range all over the map of topics, you know? So the first news story that I want to talk about, it's a very interesting one because it has to do with the gaming here. And then later, I'm going to talk about it having to do with TV, and you're going to see someone that kind of did the opposite, which I know it sounds kind of weird, but just keep that in mind, all right? So as the title of the article states, Blizzard bans Hearthstone player for supporting Hong Kong because China's money is more important. So, oof, right away, that title has some bite to it, right? But yeah, basically, I don't know how much of you guys have heard, but, you know, basically over in China right now, there's this big protest, and there's like a lot of like things going on right now where Hong Kong protesters, they want to be like liberated from like the Chinese government. And, you know, they've taken to the streets in like masks and with signs and protesting, and it's a mess over there right now. You know what I mean? It's just like, ooh, it's been going on for a while. And yeah, basically, you know, just the citizens, they don't want to live under China's government anymore. They're tired of all like the censoring and the violence and just the undue trials and, you know, all sorts of stuff, I guess. And basically, during like this event called, I think it's called like Grandmasters, you know, Hearthstone Grandmasters event. There's this guy, and his name, I wouldn't be able to pronounce his real name, but he plays as Blitz Chung. And during like a live interview, it even says right here, he removed his goggles and face mask, and he yelled, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." And pretty soon, you know, you see that the announcers, they kind of duck under their desk. It cut to a commercial. And Blizzard, you know, basically in response, they prohibited Blitz Chung from competing for like a year in the esports tournaments. They took away his earnings, and they also, for whatever reason, this is the weird one, they terminated the contracts of the two interviewer guys. Even though they didn't do anything, even though they kind of like ducked under their desks because they're like, oh crap, we don't want to get in trouble, they terminated their contracts. And of course, people aren't happy about this because they feel like, hey, it's supposed to be free speech, you know, he is protesting this unfair thing that is going on in China, and, you know, free speech and all that. So people are unhappy. And Blizzard, you know, they're trying to say that, oh, you know, it's because we have these rules where, it says right here, Grandmaster's competition rules, which state, engaging in any act that, in Blizzard's sole discretion, brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages Blizzard's image, will result in removal from Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize total to $0 USD, in addition to other remedies which may be provided for under the handbook and Blizzard's website terms. So basically, Blizzard's trying to say, oh no, we banned him, we took away his money, not because of like a free speech thing and because he upset, China or whatever, but it's because we have rules that, if you're part of our competition, you can't be saying like anything controversial. You can't just be, saying stuff left and right. Which, first of all, that sounds like horse shit because it does say right there, it is under their discretion. But what makes it even worse is that if you follow the story, over on, I don't remember where it's posted, but somewhere in some sort of like a Chinese website where they're kind of talking about like the event and what went down, Blizzard apologizes and even says like to China, we took like something about how like they're taking care of the issue because, they don't want to promote anything that offends the Chinese government. Like they legit just say it. So right now people are really mad at them. People are boycotting them. And I don't really blame them because the fact that they're just like siding with China and you can totally tell it's all about the money. It's like, oof, that is very rough. So right now people are boycotting them. People are gonna like not buy Blizzard games anymore. They're like unhappy. A lot of people have protested with hashtag boycott Blizzard, and they're even trying to like make fun of Blizzard and the whole China situation by turning Mai, which is one of their Overwatch characters, they're trying to turn her into the face of the Hong Kong protest. So man, just a lot of stuff happening. I don't really know what to say, I just think it's like a really huge mess. But it just kind of does suck that Blizzard, instead of, trying to side with free speech, that they're just letting China and profit, sway them. I think that's really unfortunate. Like, that's terrible, so that sucks. But like I said, this is an example of someone taking the whole China situation sitting down, laying down, this is someone kind of rolling over to censorship and stuff. But later, I'm gonna have a story where I show someone doing the opposite. So stay tuned to that. All right, moving on. This next news story, at least it's a little more uplifting. It's a little more positive. Basically, as the title of the article states, PS5 launches holiday 2020, controller innovations detailed. So for a while now, it's been hinted at that, the PS5 and whatever Xbox, Project Scarlet or whatever, they're probably coming soon. While Xbox, has mentioned Project Scarlet and they've, they've dived into it a little bit. PlayStation had been a bit more quiet, hadn't really talked about their new system, but now we officially have the announcement for it that yes, it's going to be called a PlayStation 5. It will launch holiday 2020, and we have a little bit of like details of some of the upcoming, specs for it. So one of the things that it says is that it supports ray tracing, and it says this is not a software level fix. There's ray tracing acceleration in the GPU hardware. Now, I'm not too familiar with this. All I know is that ray tracing is supposed to be some sort of I'm going to embarrass myself because I don't know what it is. All I know is it's supposed to make the graphics look better. And I know a lot of computers, they're using ray tracing technology now. And sure enough, it seems that, the PlayStation doesn't want to fall behind. And so they're supporting ray tracing, which, like I said, I don't really know what it is, but I know it makes the games run better. So there you go. Another thing that says the physical games will use 100 gigabyte optical discs, which are inserted into an optical drive that doubles as a 4K Blu-ray player. So, that makes sense, graphic fidelity is going up, and so, we need bigger discs and that sort of thing, so no surprise there. And hey, the fact that it's also going to be a 4K Blu-ray player, that's pretty cool, so there you go. Let's see, another big one is the DualShock controller. It says the PlayStation 5 controller looks like the DualShock 4, but has a little hole in it. which apparently it says it will be discussed at a later time. It's like, that's really weird. Don't know what that means. Also, the controller has a new feature called adaptive triggers, which it says, which offer varying levels of resistance and can make shooting a bow feel authentic in that the tension increases as you pull the arrow back, or make shooting a machine gun feel different from shooting a shotgun. So that's kind of cool. It's always something I've always kind of wondered. I think that would be kind of cool. Like, I think that'd be really cool, if you're playing like a Tomb Raider game, and the Tomb Raider games are big on the bow and arrow. I think it would be kind of cool if like every time you shoot it, there's that little bit of resistance to make it feel like it has some weight to it. So like, I think that's kind of cool. And it says there will also be optic feedback that is far more capable than the rumble motors of current controllers. So, it's always kind of cool. I always kind of enjoy that. Like, I thought it was kind of cool how, like, the Switch, the controllers had the rumble or whatever, but they haven't really used it, which is a shame. So, hopefully, the PS5 controller uses it a little bit better. I think that'd be kind of cool. And then, let's see, I'm trying to read what else. Another big one. Shadow of the Colossus remake developer Bluepoint Games is working on a PlayStation 5 title. And it says right here, we're working on a big one right now, said Bluepoint Games president Marco Thrush. I'll let you figure out the rest. So the fact that the Shadow of the Colossus remake people, who did like an excellent job, the fact that they're making a remake for the PlayStation 5, that's awesome. I remember I talked with a friend about this a while ago. We both really love The Legend of Dragoon for PlayStation 1, and we were like, man, they have showed interest in it before. So if that was like their big PlayStation 5 remake, I think that'd be awesome. How true that will be, I don't know, because The Legend of Dragoon is kind of an underrated game. It is a little more obscure, but for sure, if that ended up being it, that'd be awesome. Even if it's not it, just knowing that there's some sort of a remake in the works, that's pretty cool. And so, yeah, I think that's basically it. A lot of the stuff is just very technical. It talks about it having like 8 cores, and it talks about like the graphics engine it's going to use and stuff. So I'm not too good at any of that. Besides that, all I can really say, it says it's gonna support up to 8K resolution. It will have, I've heard somewhere, it will have backwards compatibility. So hopefully they do stick to that, because I know they hadn't mentioned that before. And there will once again be PlayStation VR support. So it'll be interesting to see if they go a little farther with that, next generation. But there you go. I think that sounds really cool. I think that's exciting stuff. It sounds like they're really trying to up their game with their next system. So I look forward to that. I don't know if I'm going to go for it like the moment it comes out. I mean, it is like a year away, so maybe. But if you're excited for Sony's PlayStation 5, there you go. Keep an eye out for it and stay excited, I guess. All right, moving on. This is kind of a short one, and it's the kind of thing where I'm mentioning the story, but I really want to get to is what's on my thumbnail. I mean, you'll see what I mean in a moment. But basically, as the title of the article states, Pokédex smartphone cases coming to Japan in March 2020. And yeah, basically, pretty straightforward. If you've ever watched like the first season of the Pokemon anime, if you remember what the Pokédex looked like in that generation, basically they are making a phone case that replicates it. And it's supposed to, I think it says it's for the iPhone X. So there you go. Supposedly it says that it should have room for like the camera and the buttons, all that good stuff. Honestly, I think it looks really ugly. I think it looks really big and clunky. I'm not sure why you would want to buy this, but there you go. And like I said, the reason I kind of want to talk about this is because I kind of wanted to piggyback off of it, kind of make it a 2-for-1. But yeah, not only, is the Pokédex smartphone coming out, but we had another Pokemon that was revealed. I don't remember what the event was called. It was like this live stream thing, but they revealed Galarian Ponyta, and man, that thing is adorable. Like, I didn't really want to do like a story on it because there's not really much to tell, but I still want to talk about it because it is adorable. It's like I think it's like a white Ponyta with like I want to say it's like a greenish, purplish like mane and stuff, and it looks adorable. It looks really cute. It's supposed to be a psychic type, and man, I don't know, because it's supposed to be a exclusive for Pokemon Shield. And so I am really conflicted now, because I really think that the legendary from Pokemon Sword looks better. And I think that, Pokemon like Surfetched, I think that makes it look awesome. And so I really want to get the Sword version. But then when I see that Galarian Ponyta is Shield exclusive, like, I almost want to get Pokemon Shield just for the Galarian Ponyta, because it's just so cute, Like, the moment I saw it, it's that kind of thing where it's like that meme from like a long time ago. I want to protect it. I want to see it grow big and strong. I want to tell my friends about it, because it's just so cute, I just love the design. I think it looks awesome. So yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted. I don't know if I should still get Pokemon Sword, maybe have somebody, trade with me, or I don't know if I should just cave in and buy, Pokemon Shield. That way I can get my Galarian Ponyta. I don't know. But regardless, I just want to talk about Galarian Ponyta. I think it looks really cute. If you want to know what it looks like, it's on the thumbnail. I think it is adorable. So there you go. All right, moving on. This is a short one, but it's still one that I thought was pretty interesting. Basically, not too long ago, they were interviewing Jon Bernthal, who's known for doing The Punisher, and Shane from The Walking Dead. And basically, they were asking him, if he could portray some sort of a gaming character, who would he like to portray? And he said that he would like to actually portray Little Mac from Punch-Out. And I think that's really cool. I can kind of see it, even though Little Mac is supposed to be like really young, because the point is supposed to be that he's kind of like a rookie. He's only like, I think like 17 years old, and he's like a little guy fighting all these huge guys. Even though like I said, like the age thing is kind of weird and stuff, I can see it, Jon Bernthal. If you look at the link in the description below, the article where it talks about all this, it has a picture of him and Little Mac like right next to each other. And yeah, I do think he could pull off like an older Little Mac, honestly. So, will it happen? Who knows? But the fact that he expressed that interest, I always think that's kind of cool. And in the past, definitely when people have expressed interest in a character, it has made it happen, Like Ryan Reynolds always said he wanted to be Deadpool. He got to be Deadpool. I forget the name of the actor, but the guy who wants to be Shang-Chi, I think that's how you say it, that upcoming Marvel hero, he said he wanted to do it, and he got the job. So definitely, there's sometimes where an actor says that they want to be a character, and it does happen. So, I don't know. I think a Punch-Out movie would be interesting. Seeing him rise up through the ranks, fighting all these different characters sounds fun. Jon Bernthal, like I said, looking at him next to Little Mac, I think he could pull it off. So I think that's interesting. So will it happen? I don't know, but I think it's very interesting. And I think if we somehow do start getting all these Nintendo movies that maybe tie into some sort of a Super Smash Brothers cinematic universe, I think that'd be really fun. So there you go. Let's keep an eye out for that. Alrighty, moving on. As the title of the article states for my next movie story, Paddington producers developing Pippi Longstocking movie. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Pippi Longstocking. I'll admit that I've never watched the live action stuff or read the books. I've only ever watched the animated series and like one of the animated movies. But yeah, Pippi's Longstocking, I think it's like a really nice, it's a fun story. It's about this like crazy, kind of kooky, eccentric, redheaded little girl. Her name is Pippi Longstocking. And dubbed the world's strongest girl, she's this girl that goes on all sorts of adventures. Basically, she used to sail around with her father, and I think that's where she became strong, because I don't know if she found like some sort of I forget if she found some sort of an artifact that made her strong, or if it was just, training on the seas with her dad that made her that way. But regardless, while her sailor father is away on business, he basically leaves her at home at their estate. And while she's at the estate, she always goes on all sorts of adventures and runs into all sorts of shenanigans. Whether it's like run-ins with pirates or thieves or dealing with like the nosy neighbors, that sort of thing. She always has all sorts of like adventures with her friends, Tommy and Annika, I think was the girl's name. Yeah, Tommy and Annika. And, she also has like a pet monkey and horse. And so it's just like these like really fun kid stories, about this little girl that's really strong, goes on adventures with her friends. She has like a pet monkey, a pet horse. She fights, thieves and pirates and stuff. And like I said, it's just really fun stories. And basically, I guess the Paddington producers, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do if the director is coming back. And since it seems like they're kind of dealing with that, I guess in the meantime, they're trying to work on other projects. And yeah, I mean, they seem like they're trying to work on a Pippi Longstocking movie. I'm trying to see anywhere if it says if it's live action. I don't think it says, actually. But whether it's live action or whether it's like an animated thing, I still think it's really fun. Like I said, I think Pippi Longstocking, I think her adventures and stuff are like really, like I enjoy them, you know? I think it's like a really nice, like family-oriented, like franchise. And I think that if anyone can pull it off too, I think that, you know, the producers of Paddington can probably do a good job, because, you know, when the Paddington movie got announced, it sounded like it was going to be one of those like, oh, it's just going to be another cheap cash grab CGI thing of like, oh, let's take this character and bring him to the real world, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's kind of what it sounded like. You know, I thought it was going to be kind of like, I don't know. I mean, there's just been a few, right? Like Garfield, Woody Woodpecker, Marmaduke, Yogi Bear wasn't that great, you know, stuff like that. But surprisingly, the Paddington movies were really good. Like the acting's really good, the animation, you know, CGI is really good, the voice acting's great, they have a lot of heart to them and they're really fun, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm saying, that I think if anyone can make some really good Pippi Longstocking movies, I think the people behind Paddington can do it. Because they definitely seems like they have a talent for this kind of content, you know? So I look forward to it. Hopefully they get the project off the ground. Hopefully they end up making the project, like I said, as good as I think they can. So yeah, do you guys know about Pippi Longstocking? Or am I the only one who knows about her? Let me know. There you go. Alrighty, moving on to TV news. This next one is a very interesting one, because if anyone's ever looked at my TV show reviews, a while ago, I did a review of a show called The End of the World. As the title of the article states, End of the World Season 2 release date revealed. And it's really weird because it's the kind of show that I know it's based on like a comic, and I'm pretty sure that everything they did in season 1, they've covered all of the material. And the way it ended, even though it was a bit ambiguous, it's still, I mean, it's ambiguous, but like, I feel like that's all we really need of the story. You know, like the story goes either one of two ways. Like, I'm not going to spoil it, but it goes either one of two ways. So even if it's ambiguous, I feel like there's not really much of a story to tell after that. But yeah, for whatever reason, sure enough, they're making a second season to it. And yeah, I mean, that just leaves me really, I don't know. I just think that sounds really weird. I don't really know where they're going to go with the story. And it also worries me because when I read the book 13 Reasons Why, I really enjoyed it. And when I heard that they were making a TV show about it, I was excited because, okay, you know, seeing it get adapted, it sounds like a good idea. And honestly, the first season, even though I wouldn't say it's great, I did enjoy that first season because I do feel like it adapted the book pretty well, you know, it was fine. But then from there, they really went off the rails where like now they're like on like, I think they're like, they got greenlit for like season 4. And everything that they've covered has nothing to do with like the book anymore. They're going like in their own totally weird direction. And so yeah, I guess that's kind of my fear for this. That even though I enjoyed the first season very much, and even though, you know, I know they're out of content, you know, like they're adapting original stuff. So yeah, I'm just really nervous now because I think they're going to screw it up. I'm afraid that they're going to just do some weird things that I don't know, man. But if you enjoyed the first season of the show, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of a season 2. Do you think it'll be good? Do you think it'll be a train wreck? Because right now, like I said, I don't really know what to think. But if you want to read more about it, link is in the description below. Just know that if you haven't watched season 1, it does have some spoilers. So, you know, keep an eye out for that. All right, moving on to my second news story. This is the one that I had said to keep in mind because while the whole Blizzard situation is an example of someone taking Chinese censorship and kind of rolling over and, you know, just taking it and doing whatever China wants, this is an example of someone fighting back and basically being like, no, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. And so, as the title of the article states, South Park reportedly banned in China after critical episode. So yeah, South Park, which has always been a show that likes to like push boundaries and make fun of everything or whatever, they made an episode called, it's season 23, episode 2. It's called Banned in China, but it's B-A-N-D, like a band. And basically, it's like this storyline where there's a few things going on. In one storyline, like if you're familiar with South Park, Stan, he's made a metal band, and it says right here, the episode follows Stan's metal band as they're discovered by a Hollywood producer who wants to make a movie about them, but only if the film is palatable to Chinese censors. Meanwhile, Randy is caught attempting to sell weed in China and sent to a Chinese labor camp, encountering and imprisoned Winnie the Pooh. Due to the episode's critique of the relationship between Hollywood and the Chinese government, South Park now finds itself in hot water with China. So yeah, basically the episode, it was talking all sorts of crap about China. It was making fun of like their labor camps. It was talking crap about their censorship. It was talking crap about their president. It was talking crap about Hollywood and how they always roll over to like please China. Like it was doing all sorts of stuff. And, like, if you watch the episode, like, they have that parody of Mickey Mouse, which I think they never call him, like, Mickey outright. I think they just call him Mr. Mouse, I think. But yeah, they have Mr. Mouse, and, it shows, like, him, and they showed a bunch of other, like, MCU things, I believe. And they showed Winnie the Pooh, and, they made fun of how Winnie the Pooh, he's been banned from China because for whatever reason, they're like, oh, Winnie the Pooh, he is supposed to be like a caricature of like our president or whatever, and we don't like that. And like, I don't know, all sorts of stuff, right? But yeah, basically South Park did not give a crap, They just made this episode where they're basically making fun of all sorts of Chinese stuff, making fun of censorship. At the end, if I remember correctly, I think Stan, basically he says like, screw this. I don't care if I'm not famous, but I'm not gonna like roll over and make this movie that just to please China or whatever. And yeah, and it was like crazy because yeah, the episode itself is called Banned in China, and South Park knew what they were doing. They know they were gonna probably get banned. And sure enough, not only did the episode get banned, yeah, I believe it said somewhere that like now like the show itself is just banned. Like I think South Park, it says right here, according to Inkstone, all clips and videos from the episode have been scrubbed from online platforms in China. And I don't know where else I saw it, but I could have sworn I saw somewhere else that I think they're like trying their best to just like totally remove anything South Park related. Like even though South Park doesn't even have like an official release over there, I think they're trying to do it where there's like no images or like anything about it anymore. Like they are pissed at South Park. And I think the best part, they released a apology supposedly, and it says right here, following statements from the Chinese government that China would condemn Rocket's games and pull financial support, the NBA has since apologized. Parker and Stone are now following the NBA's example, taking to Twitter to issue a mock apology of their own. So they put, official apology to China from Trey Parker and Matt Stone. Like the NBA, we welcome the Chinese censors into our homes and into our hearts. We too love money more than freedom and democracy. Xi, or Shi, I don't know how you say his name, doesn't look just like Winnie the Pooh at all. Tune in to our 300th episode this Wednesday at 10. Long live the great Communist Party of China. May this autumn's sorghum harvest be bountiful. We good now, China? ? And it's like, wow, like, damn. Like, I don't know, man. I know over the years, people have criticized South Park and they've kind of said they've lost their edge or whatever. But I don't know, man. When I see South Park trashing all over China and their censorship, and they release a mock apology like that, where they're basically like, oh yeah, we're like the NBA, we care all about money, and who cares about democracy and freedom and stuff, and like, yeah, long live the Communist Party, like as a joke, sarcastically. Like, dude, I don't know, man. I gotta admit, I'm proud of them. I think the fact that there's this show that doesn't give a crap and they're willing to just push boundaries, that's kind of awesome. And I mean, hopefully it doesn't bite them in the ass in the sense of like, I don't know, getting assassinated or something, you know what I mean? But wow, the fact that they went there, applause to them. Like I said, this is like a total opposite of Blizzard. While Blizzard and like the NBA and some of these other, entities and like companies, while they're willing to like bend over backwards to please China because of money and stuff, because they don't want to lose those profits. The fact that South Park doesn't care and they're willing to like go there and totally get banned and piss them off. Holy crap, dude. That's all I have to say. And yeah, if you want to read more about it yourself, link is in the description below. Check it out and just wow. I mean, that's all I can really say. Alrighty, finally, my last news story. It's a pretty short one, but it's the one I want to touch upon because I think it's interesting. Basically, for anyone who usually likes to watch anime and they do like to stick around, wait around for the dubs to come out, you can add another show to the list, hopefully, because the English dub cast has been announced for JoJo Part 5, Golden Wind. And I gotta admit, I don't recognize all of the actors, but the ones that I do recognize, they are, like, I would say they're really good voice actors. For instance, one of the characters from Part 5, Bruno, he is going to be voiced by Ray Chase. And Ray Chase, I think he's done a pretty good job. He's voiced a bunch of anime characters, plus a lot of, like, video game characters that are really well known. Like, he voiced Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. He has voiced the Master of Masters from Kingdom Hearts. Well, I was gonna say Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, it's a few Kingdom Hearts, right? I mean, wherever the Masters of Masters has shown up, he's voiced them. So I think that's a really fun role. And then he's also voiced, a few other characters, like he's voiced Roy in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. He's voiced Eve from Nier Automata. He voiced a minor character in Persona 5, that sort of thing. So yeah, basically, whether you're looking like in video games, anime, a few movie anime dubs or whatever, he's been there. And so yeah, Roy Chase, I think he's really talented. I think he's really good. Likewise, Narancia, he's getting voiced by Kyle McCarley. And likewise, Kyle McCarley, I would also say, is a really good voice actor. Once again, not only has he been in a lot of anime, but he's been in a few video games that are also really recognizable. For instance, he voiced 9S in Nier Automata, and I think that was like a really great role. A lot of people say that he brought like so much to the role. A lot of people say he might have done a better job as a voice actor than like the Japanese version, which doesn't happen very often. So he voiced 9S in Nier Automata. He voiced a character in Astral Chain. He's voiced a few characters in Fire Emblem. When it comes to other anime, a big one he's known for is that he voices Mob in Mob Psycho 100. So yeah, like I said, even though I don't recognize all the voice actors, the couple that I do recognize, they are some pretty talented actors, So like that gives me like a lot of hope, I guess you can say. And so yeah, I mean, if you like to watch anime dubbed versus subbed, I mean, I would say this might be a good one to catch because it looks like it's gonna shape up to be a pretty good dub. Not only that, but I just think that JoJo in general is really fun. So yeah, hopefully there's somebody out there that this story was for. Hopefully someone, heard me talk about this and they're gonna check it out. But yeah, apparently the dub is gonna start premiering on Adult Swim Toonami on October 26th. I mean, when it hits other like streaming things and stuff, I don't know. But yeah, like I said, if you like watching dubs, there you go. It is coming pretty soon. So yeah. Alrighty guys, and that basically does it for my week. Hopefully, as always, that was something you guys found to be informative or educational, something that you guys, caught your attention, that sort of thing. And yeah, I just think that the news was really interesting, there was some political stories in there, one example of people rolling over, one example of people standing up to like the Chinese censorship. We had a few interesting video game news stories, some interesting TV news stories, that sort of thing. So I don't know, I thought it was a very full week when it came to the news, so I don't know, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And with that being said, I think we should transfer over to the last part of the podcast, which is of course the content creator spotlight. And this week's content creator, kind of like last week, it's going to be a channel that even though it's a bit bigger, I want to give it a shout out in case people don't know about it, because I think that they have really good content that kind of ties into the Spooktober / like horror aspect, of the month. And so this week's content creator, even though they are sitting at like 1.5 million subscribers, I still want to give them a shout out because I think they are a classic, awesome channel. And I am, of course, talking about Mr. Creepypasta. Now, Mr. Creepypasta, I don't know how many of you know, but I've actually met him in real life. I've actually, met him at Comic-Con a few times. I've had stuff signed by him. I've seen him without the mask. He's a really cool guy. And basically, for anyone who doesn't know, I mean, if the name didn't give it away, Mr. Creepypasta reads creepypastas. Now, what makes him different, I would say, versus other, creepypasta channels, is that I think he really is the best when it comes to it. He has a great narrator's voice that he shows emotion. He can voice, whether it's like a male character or a female character, he can pull it off convincingly. He can pull off the inflection to make it sound like it's different characters. It's hard to describe unless you really listen to him, but his narration is it's masterful. He voices, like I said, male characters, female characters. He can make them sound old. He can make them sound young. He can make them sound, like they really are nervous, like they really are scared, like they really are feeling confident and cocky. He can make them sound, like there's some characters that just sound very straightforward. There's some other characters that sound like they have a little bit of an accent to them. His narration work is incredible. Not only that, but all his videos, they always have all sorts of really good music to them. The image that he uses for them is always really good. His thumbnails are they're excellent. He always has footage that's really awesome. The stories he covers, a lot of people kind of look down on creepypastas because, everyone kind of is familiar with creepypastas back in the day. He did cover it recently because he's going back over the classics for this month. But a lot of people, what they know about, creepypastas, they know the ones about the dead Bart or the Rugrats theory where it's hyper realistic and it was in the narrator's head all along. Those are the kind of creepypastas that people are usually familiar with, which honestly don't really hold up that well anymore. It's stuff, like Jeff the Killer about this guy with a messed up face that goes around killing people. Those are the creepypastas that people are more familiar with. And yes, he did cover those at one point years ago. And yes, he does cover them every so often, he goes back to them in Celebration. But another thing that I think makes him really, it's that he covers stories that are really good. He goes to the Creepypasta Wiki, he goes to the No Sleep subreddit, he covers actual horror stories too. Some of my favorite stories recently, it's this series called The Gas Station, and basically it's based on this book that this guy wrote called Tales from the Gas Station, and he basically reads different chapters of it as if it was different little creepypastas. And that's a really good series because it's based on a horror book, and the horror book is all about this guy and how he lives in this strange town where supernatural stuff happens all the time, and it's this whole series that he covers every so often. Another one that he covers, for instance, it's this series called Lily Madwhip, and it's this supernatural story about this little girl that she has the power of clairvoyance. She can kind of tell the future and how people are gonna die or get hurt or whatever. And it's really interesting to see how the story progresses. It's this innocent little girl that even the narration, this is one of the few that he doesn't do. He actually has a guest do it, but the direction of how she reads is incredible because she really makes it sound like she's this kind of hyperactive little girl that doesn't really know what's happening in the world around her. And it's about, like I said, this little girl that has clairvoyance, and she gets caught up in supernatural stuff where she has a guardian angel sort of thing that gives her powers, and she runs into other people that also have powers, but some of them aren't using their powers for good necessarily. And I don't know, man, you would have to check it out, but that's a great series. And yeah, just the stories he covers, they're really good because like I said, everyone's heard of the creepypastas like Jeff the Killer and the lost episode of a kid's TV show that was hyper violent, or a video game that, it was a hack or whatever. Everyone's heard those stories and they don't hold up very well. But I would say that a lot of the stories he reads do hold up very well. They're gory, they're creepy, they're unsettling. The content they cover, they cover stuff like suicide, sexuality, death, the unknown, creepy stuff like that. So I don't know, man, if you're looking for just some really good stories, you can just sit down, get spooked a little bit, it. I say Mr. Creepypasta, he's the best in the business. Like I said, he's an awesome guy, very talented. And yeah, I mean, I just think his stuff is like grade A stuff. If you want to read if you want to hear someone read some like creepy stories and you know, he's the one to go to. So that's why this week, my content creator spotlight, it's Mr. Creepypasta. I would say check him out. He is awesome. And besides that, you know, I guess as usual, I don't know if he'll even notice, but if you check out his channel and end up subscribing to him, I guess let him know that Wannabe Reviewer sent you, and I don't know, I mean, maybe he'll acknowledge it. I mean, if he actually remembered me from Comic-Con, I doubt it, but that'd be great, but I mean, I guess we'll see, so there you go. Alrighty, with that being said, folks, that brings us to the end of our podcast. That is another one in the bag. Hopefully, you know, there was something that got you guys' attention, something you guys enjoyed, whether it was me talking about Mr. Creepypasta, me covering one of the many news stories, me talking about one of the anime that I watched, or the Joker movie that I went to see, or me explaining a little bit about Code Vein, you know. Hopefully there's something that I talked about that made this podcast worth it for you guys, made it worthwhile. And yeah, with that being said, you know, as always, to wrap up, my name is Wannabe Reviewer. You can catch me over on social media such as Twitter and Instagram. Twitch, I don't know what to say about Twitch. I really want to stream, but it just seems to never happen. Maybe during the holiday I will. I don't know. Twitch is there. If you can follow me over there, I do promise to stream at some point. I don't know when. But yeah, follow me over on social media. And as for stuff coming up, my review of Untitled Goose Game should have gone up a couple of days ago. Hopefully you guys checked that out and had some fun with it. I don't think I'm going to have any more reviews coming up, because I'm trying to dedicate myself to working on my 13 days of Spooktober. So apologies there, you know, if I don't have a new review. But yeah, starting hopefully like the 18th or 19th, I should have my Spooktober content, which is going to be a series of like, you know, I'm going to have a few episodes of like this new series that isn't necessarily a new series. It's kind of a remaster of something I did before, but you know, I think it's still exciting. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to have that series. I'm going to have a top 7 list for sure. I'm going to have some reviews. I'm going to have a short LP with the guest and yeah, other stuff. You know, I'm just gearing up to like have more content. But yeah, look forward to the Spooktober content coming up. And yeah, with that being said, I guess I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. I will try my best to be back here next week for episode 51. And yeah, my name is Wannabe Reviewer, and I will see you guys next time.